love, a sequel, call it what you will. But all things being equal, it's a book about Power Pop, the bastard child of rock. My name is Dave Hill. I wrote an essay in the book. I really hope you like it. And if you don't, there's plenty of others. I talk about a song I wrote called Go. It's the theme song to the John Oliver Show, which is on Sunday nights on HBO. I'm all out of rhymes, so I just want to tell you, read Go Further. It's out May 11th, and it's seriously good if you like Power Pop, which you totally should because it's the best.
Hey everybody, it is Steve Lauden, and I am here with my co-editing partner in crime for our Power Pop book series, Paul Myers. Paul, how are you?
Hey Steve, it's so good to see you. We so rarely actually see each other. We do a lot of this stuff over the phone or email. Yeah, it's amazing. And then between the two of us and Tyson over at Rarebird, we sort of know a lot of people. And you and I pretty much are the people like, you know, feeling out and sniffing around for stories. And you see this piece of writing, you say, hey, we should get this for the book, or hey, what do you think about this? And so a lot of it is just us making decisions on the fly about, you know, the shape of this thing, and then we cull it together, and that takes months. So
yeah.
So it's
absolutely
good. I'm really proud of both these books, by the way.
Oh, as am I. It's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about as we get this event started is, you know, we're both fans of the genre and we're both fans of rock and roll, but it's an interesting challenge to kind of curate a collection like this, right? Like to actually choose which bands or which songs or which contributors we're going to have involved.
Yeah. And I think it's really neat the way, you know, I described it in one of the articles we were in the interview. It's like you see a dot matrix photograph, a dot halftone screen, and there's a bunch of little dots. But then when you step back, there's a picture that emerges. And I think that that's kind of where we're at right now. You sort of get an idea. It's a little bit of a report card on the history, but also the current attitudes towards this, what I call a subgenre of rock and roll. And, you know, it's one of those eternal questions. Is this power pop or not? Or does it want to be called power pop or not? Yeah, and it's neat. Like in this one, for instance, we had like Brian Vander Ark's story about working with Andy Partridge of XTC, a different approach to the whole story because he's talking kind of just about specifically working with an artist who's associated with the genre. And at the same time, you know, it's more of a personal story about his songwriting career. But it falls in. And at the same time, we've got our story about Material Issues, just about being a young fan. And Balan decided to make a film about him, you know, about Material Issue, about Jim. And his story is totally different about this than it would have been, say, if a Chicago journalist like Greg Kot had written about Material Issue from the point of view of what it was like covering them for the scene. It's completely different. It's a personal story about a guy discovering this band way too late and then making it his mission, you know?
Well, isn't that the case with most of the best power pop bands, is that they're being discovered kind of way too late continually. That sort of defines a lot of the arcs of power pop careers.
Yeah, and then there's also like in the spirit of Brian Vander Ark, I mean, I was so excited we got Will Birch to talk about the records. I mean, that is, you know, to me, that's a great score. Like, just because, I mean, he wrote some of the best writing about pub rock and things like that as well. And he's just a good writer, but also the fact that he's telling you from the inside of this story of a band that might have been assigned to somebody else to write about we got the guy.
So yeah, I agree. We were lucky to get him included. But Paul, you have twice mentioned Brian Vander Ark, and as luck would have it, he is actually one of our musical guests today. So why don't we actually go to Brian Vander Ark right now to play the song that he co-wrote with Andy Partridge.
Hey, I'm Brian Vander Ark of the band the Verve Pipe. Back in the 90s when we were on top of the charts, I had the opportunity to work with one of my idols, the power pop hero, Andy Partridge of XTC. And I wrote an essay about it in a book called Go Further. It was a great lesson in songwriting, which I talk about in the essay, but it was also a great lesson in humility. But we got a pretty good song out of it, which I'm going to play for you now. This is called Blow You Away by Andy Partridge and Brian Vander Ark. Your friends are making faces when we walk in these places. Am I to blame? Why don't you blow, 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 blow them all away and start again? I don't want to doubt you, there's something about you, you're just the same. Why don't you blow, 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 blow them all away and start again? What can I do? They're so cynical. Lightning strikes my heart, and the mayhem suits me well. I will be your umbrella, my stormy Cinderella. Blow them all away and start again. Teasing me forever, kiss me and then never come up for air. Why don't you blow, 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 blow? What can I do? My heart has chosen something wonderful. Just one look from you, and then I can brave the weather with very little effort. She warms my ears like a needle to the record. Shiver at the sight of beast and beauty standing upright in a hurricane. Why don't you blow, 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 blow them all away and start again? Why don't you blow, 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 blow them all away and start again? Why don't you blow, 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 blow them all away and start again?
Wow. How great was Brian's performance?
And, you know, I just recently met him online. I'd never met him before. Solid guy, just an amazing guy. Just so really, really lucky to have him.
Who are some of the other essays and contributors that you're excited about in Go Further?
So moving into the category of, you know, people who were there, who've been writing about it, like in the spirit of having John Borack, this time we realized, you know, there's a couple of guys who've been writing about power pop since I remember hearing the words. One of them is Ira Robbins, who it was like, you know, one for me, kind of the dean of at least magazine journalism for this, because his magazine was so important to the power pop definition that I actually asked him, I said, can you write something about, you know, about how you were, what you were thinking when you wrote that? And so he wrote this thing about how he'd had to update his definition from his 1970s definition of power pop when it was all going down, because you never know in the moment what's going to be the thing. And so it's so great to have his history and have him be in the present tense about it. So that's cool. And then the other one is Jordan Oakes, who, I mean, I've been involved in things that Jordan Oakes has been involved in. His Yellow Pills fanzine was one of the first things I ever saw where there was a fan dedicated to writing about this genre. Definitely the spirit of that in sort of permeates what we're doing. And so the fact that he wasn't in the first book because we were trying to avoid sort of typical power pop voices, I thought, let's make up for that. Let's get him in here. And so we got Ira, we got Jordan, you know, and it's like we got these first person stories and they're both really, really good and they both really delivered. So I was really excited about that.
But there is another first person story in this collection that I'm personally very excited about. Now, how did you get the inspiration to write your essay, Los Anglophiles?
Thank you very much. Well, and you know, the subtitle of that is Jangly Pop Echoes in Distant Canyons. So that gives you a clue that I had been watching, you know, Echoes in the Canyon, and my friend Fernando Perdomo's in that, who is part of that musical community that does a lot of what could be called power pop. Some of them don't like the term, but they are all people who grew up listening to the Beatles and the Beach Boys, and a lot of them came there because they wanted to be, you know, within the Capitol Towers vicinity, you know, and they're Emmett Rhodes fans and all these things. So I just was getting excited about the idea that this power pop genre has its own kind of echoes in the canyon. And then I went, oh my God, I'm so lucky because I actually know a lot of these people. From when I wrote my Todd Rundgren book, I had a book launch at Largo at the Coronet, and I invited, you know, Taylor Locke and Chris Price, and actually Fernando was gonna come, but he was in Miami at the time. But I remember I met a lot of people that day. We all became really good friends. And so when Chris Price was producing Emmett Rhodes, he said, you won't believe this, but I'm producing Emmett Rhodes. And I said, oh man, I'd love to meet Emmett Rhodes, let alone cover this for Mojo magazine. And I did. So Emmett Rhodes suddenly became somebody I know. And then I met like Amin Zarukian and you know, and then over the next year I met Eric Paparazzi and all these people. And it just became like that. I had a bunch of friends who were part of that scene. And, you know, distantly, I don't really know Darian from Brian's band and the Wondermints, but I did know him well enough to be able to call him and say, can you tell me your thoughts? So I ended up getting all these people to tell me why they are part of that, some, like I said, reluctantly part of this neo power pop or post-British jangle pop thing. And it was really fun. And I thought, yeah, I think maybe I could only do it because I'm coming into it from being a Canadian boy living in the San Francisco Bay Area, looking down at this area that I get to go into to sort of hang amongst these people. So I'm not like, you know, from there or part of it, but I'm kind of like their friend from the North, you know?
Yeah.
And so it made me feel like a good correspondent that way. And it's very personal, but it's also a little bit journalistic, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it's an excellent essay. And
well, thanks.
You mentioned earlier the people we have in the book who've been writing about this genre for a long time. You mentioned John Borack. As luck would have it, he is also one of our guests today. So let's go to John to hear what he has to say about his essay on the Shivers.
Hey everybody, this is John Borack. I'm the author of these two books, Shake Some Action, The Ultimate Power Pop Guide, Shake Some Action 2.0. Huge power pop fanatic, and I am thrilled that I have the opportunity to write an essay for the upcoming book, Go Further. The essay is on the Milwaukee, Wisconsin-based band, The Shivers. One of my favorite bands and one that people need to know about. A lot of power pop fans don't know about the Shivers, but they were a great band. And I tell their story in a conversation with lead singer and lead songwriter Jill Kasoris. So check that out. Oh, also their main song, Teen Line, pretty amazing song. And you know what? Instead of me telling you about it, let's listen to a version of Teen Line, a power pop classic as done by my friends and my bandmates, Rex Broome and Christina Bulbenko from the Armoires. Here they are with Teen Line.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Last night, got a call on the telephone. As long as it can ring, I am not alone. And the night don't seem so far away.
that's so good. That gave me the shivers. I hate to say it. That joke. I'm sorry. But,
Wow.
Okay, so this is another example of, so I mentioned Jordan Oakes, and he named his fanzine Yellow Pills. And as luck would have it, his story touches on 2020. And, we didn't cover them very much, or I think at all, in the first book. And they always say 2020 hindsight. And sure enough, in the second book, we correct this mistake by 2 double vision here. And you wrote this amazing Yellow Pills and Other Gateway Drugs, which really, really, even for me, I didn't know half the things that were in there. Like I knew some things, and then you told the story so well. So tell me, how did you come to do that?
With 2020, like that was a band growing up in Los Angeles. Yellow Pills was still played on K-Rock, occasionally when I was growing up. And then of course it pops up on all of these various compilations over the years that we've all listened to 1,000 times. And I knew some of the other songs from that first record, but I hadn't really actually sat down and kind of reckoned with the 2020 debut until about 4 or 5 years ago. And when I did that, I became this like super fan. And then like that tapped my journalism brain, and I wanted to know more about this band. I kind of always assumed they were just this like dyed-in-the-wool Hollywood rock band, only to come to find out that 2 of them and most of their history starts in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And once I sort of discovered that, I knew that I was really interested and wanted to dive in. Lucky for me, Steve Allen and Ron Flint, 2 of the founding members, who actually grew up together, starting in elementary school.
Wow.
Playing in bands together in elementary school and junior high. They were really generous with their time and answered all of my deep diving questions about their childhood and their influences and what it was like to watch the Beatles on television when they were kids. Wow. And that, their travels through the Oklahoma music scene and getting to know Leon Russell's, church studio, and Phil Seymour, who plays a role in 2020. And then as they travel to Los Angeles to start the band and kind of start to blow up, it's just a really fascinating story, but it's really only the story of the first record and really focuses on that really tight connection between Steve and Ron.
Yeah, it's really great. It really, like I said, it taught me so much more than I thought I knew. That thing when you think you know something and then you read it and go, oh my God, I had it all slightly different. And now I'm glad I have it straight. So thank you.
We are incredibly lucky. Steve Allen from 2020 is here today to perform Yellow Pills.
you know, so many people have different definitions of power pop, and they, you know, one of the things they always agree on is that 2020 is a founding, you know, a founding band, a founding principle. And the other band I think that people often mention is the Shoes, right?
Yeah. Shoes is a big one, and we are really lucky to have Mary E. Donnelly in the book. She actually wrote the book on Shoes, and she's going to talk today about her lifelong love and devotion to this band, Shoes. Mary, take it away.
I grew up as a Beatles fan. I was born in the mid-'60s, and I was raised in a house where the Beatles were playing literally all the time. There were other bands, you know. I had a brother. I'm the sixth of 7 children, so my musical tastes were largely formed by my older siblings, as they are when you're a younger sibling. And you know, so I grew up with my siblings' musical tastes, which overwhelmingly were the Beatles. I did have a brother who was into Creedence. I had another brother who was into The Who. I had another brother, God help me, who was into prog rock. And I had a sister who would listen to the same record every day for a year. And we shared a bedroom because, you know, we were the only girls. And so I woke up for 1 calendar year to Come Sail Away. Literally every day. When it was time to get up, Peggy would put on Come Sail Away, and we'd get up. For a year. It was a long time. Okay. But the underpinning, the undercurrent always was the Beatles. And so I didn't come to the Beatles as a learned experience. I swam in the Beatles from literally the day I was born. And so for me, power pop was an extension, a modern restructuring of this music that I had been born to swim in. I discovered Shoes when I was 12 years old. It was a month before my 13th birthday. And my brother said, I think you'll like this. And so he put it on. And I didn't like it. I loved it immediately. I've never fallen so hard and fast for a band, I'll tell you. I was all in from the first bars of Tomorrow Night. And I got my birthday money the next month. And I bought with it both present tense and black vinyl shoes, which at the time you could buy in mall record stores, which I think is kind of interesting. Because that's where I bought it. By Christmas time, so that was November, was my birthday. By Christmas time, I needed a new copy because I had already played it through so many times. I wanted to know everything about this band. I read every article. I read little write-ups in Parade. I remember one write-up in Parade magazine, which came with the Sunday paper. And, you know, I was obsessed. I really wanted to know everything about them. And honestly, I never lost that obsession. I mean, I've come in and out of my Shoes fandom, as we do in our lives. But I never really lost that curiosity. And a number of years ago, God, it's got to be more than 15 at this point, I had a correspondence with Jeff Murphy and talked to him a little bit. And he told me some stories about, you know, different recording sessions and things like that. And I just became convinced that there was a story here. That, you know, with one thing and another, Shoes were everywhere for like 20 years. They had their toe in almost every piece of important music. You know, they were in the right places and the right times, and they, you know, lined up with all of these different movements in music from the 70s through the 90s. And I thought it was really fascinating. And so really I only wrote the book because I wanted to read it. So I'm very proud of the book. I'm proud of my essay in this collection, and I hope you enjoy them. This is I loved the first volume. I'm pretty excited to be part of the second. Thank you.
Paul and I have already spoken at length about how difficult it is to kind of curate these collections because, you know, you can't include everybody you want to include, nor does everybody that you want to include say yes. But Paul and I both agreed when we were putting the second book together that we definitely wanted to include Mike Randle from Baby Lemonade and the band Love. But he also agreed to do a song for us. And Paul, I know his song selection is near and dear to your heart.
I'm a really big Todd Rundgren fan, as you can tell. Got my Something Anything shirt on here. And I decided to do a song that I really like. It's more of a piano song, so it's kind of, you know, a little challenge doing it on guitar. I actually capoed it up. Kind of got some of the words kind of wrong. I kind of started laughing at one point. And, you know, but my heart was in it. And it's called Be Nice to Me, and I hope you enjoy it. No catch, no streets, no none of the usual things. I'm happy just to lay and look. Let's throw out the book. Now that we're off the hook, and please just be nice to me. Won't you be nice to me? I'm so tired, so sad, so sick of being had by everyone that comes along. Would it be so wrong if you played along and just be nice to me? And would it bring you down if I hang around? Just be nice to me. In a long, long time since I felt so fine, I know what your love is fine. I know what's on your mind, but don't laugh, don't cry, don't make me wonder why you're doing what you're doing now. Can't you see somehow that it's the wrong time now? And just please be nice to me. Been a long, long time since I felt so fine. Just be nice to me. Won't you be nice to me?
I'm so thrilled that we have Bill DeMain in this. He's always been one of my favorite writers about music, but his group Swan Dive are like an incredible chamber pop, power pop. I can't even describe lounge pop band. They're really great. But because of him, I started discovering all this Nashville pop and people like Bill Lloyd, who's incredible. And so because he's such a good writer and part of the scene, I was so excited that he gave us this story about the whole scene, and he summed it up, and then he sent us the songs.
So Sad About Us, written by Pete Townsend in, I think about 1966 for a quick one. I've always loved that song. I came to know it through The Jam and their cover version of it. That led me back to The Who and then to Pete's version on Scoop. But I chose to play it because I feel like it is the perfect example of a power pop song. It's catchy all the way through, it's concise, it's simple. There's 4 or 5 chords, about 10 lines of lyric, very emotionally direct about love and regret. And there's that one line in the bridge, but you can't switch off my lovin' like you can't switch off the sun, which I think elevates the song to art. But I'm not here to talk about The Who. I'm here to talk about Go Further, the sequel to Go All the Way. I feel so lucky. I was part of this second book, and the chapter that I wrote was about Nashville, Tennessee, which is where I have lived and worked and played music for about 30 years or so. I think my intention first was to overturn the popular cliche of Nashville just being a country music town. It's a lot more than that. And I feel so fortunate that I was part of a pop scene here, kind of a golden era, like in the late 90s into the early 2000s, with my duo, Swan Dive, me and my friend Molly Felder. But we were part of a larger scene that included Brad Jones, Bill Lloyd, the Shazam, Fluid Ounces, Ross Rice and Human Radio, Pat Sansone, Josh Rouse. It was incredible. Even when I think about it now, I'm kind of astounded by the depth of talent that was here at that time. And, you know, I think all of us, we were competitive, but we were also friendly, and we pulled together because to be a pop band in Nashville at that time carried a bit of a stigma. Like almost anybody outside of the city couldn't quite believe that there could be good pop music here. So my chapter is a love letter to that time in Nashville, and also a memoir of, in particular, of my time with Swan Dive and our subsequent adventures in Japan. So I hope you enjoy reading it. I hope you enjoy the book. I know I'm really looking forward to reading all the other essays in the second book. I so enjoyed the first book. And I was thinking this morning that, you know, I really hope maybe later this year we can have some kind of in-person event where we all get together and nerd out about power pop and maybe play some music together. I really hope that can happen. In the meantime, sending love and strength from Nashville, Tennessee. Again, this is Bill DeMain from Swan Dive. Take care.
Well, Paul, I think we've reached the end of what turned out to be a truly incredible show.
It's really great, and I'm excited about both these books, but especially excited about the new one because it's new, and people can get it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, thank you to everybody who contributed to both volumes of the book, and especially more recently, thank you to everybody who joined us on the show today. The performances were incredible. Mary Donnelly, my gosh, what a great story.
Oh, yeah.
John Borack, always great to have him involved. If you want to find out more about these books, or if you want to pre-order it, look, pre-ordering is the name of the game in publishing these days. So if you are interested in Go All the Way or Go Further, we've included all the links in the event. That's probably right down there somewhere.
Yeah. I think I'm looking at it. I don't know. So yeah, and the thing is, you know, pre-order wherever you pre-order, just as long as you pre-order, because yeah, everyone, you know, and also ask your bookstore, you know, help your independent bookstore. If you tell them what it is, find out what it is, tell them what it is. You know, They love hearing from you, and they could use your money too. So, and thanks to Tyson at Rare Bird, Tyson, you know, without whom we couldn't do this. So yeah, thank you.
Big shout out to Tyson, and thank you guys all for watching today.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Paul.